morning. All right, so we are just getting started here. And what are we going to talk about today? We're going to talk about knowing, understanding, knowledge, okay? And why I keep telling you about the right hemisphere of the brain and why it's so important, okay? Surface learning, okay, is what we do most of our lives. Surface learning, okay? So we go to school, we memorize, right? That's the old school way. We memorize, okay? Now, when you memorize things, especially without meaning, okay, this is surface learning, okay? And what are you really doing? Well, you're memorizing something to pass a test. You pass a test to what? To finish the class. You finish the class to what? Get your diploma, degree, grade, certificate, whatever it is, okay? But that's only surface learning. This is why most people who, claim to be educated, okay, so I'm going to show you the difference between education and knowledge, okay? So, and they get their degrees, right? And they think they know. Now, here's the thing that really cements that part in, right? Because they're validated, right? With the degree, they're validated with their certificate, they're validated, and they've invested everything. It's just like the people who get taken, right? People get taken advantage of, people get ripped off. You cannot convince them that they've been ripped off in a lot of cases. Why? They've invested time, money, and then what's on the other end? Embarrassment. They're embarrassed, right? So they're never going to admit it, okay? And this is the downfall of the education side, okay? Now, deep learning is a little bit different, right? So now you're connecting concepts to prior knowledge with deep learning. Things that you've learned before, now you connect the concepts to it. Okay, so that's what deep learning is. Okay, now transfer learning is what I talk about. Okay, so I talk about that a lot, applying knowledge to new unfamiliar contexts. Okay, and that's what I go over. Okay, now cognitive load theory. You ever heard that? Have you ever heard that before? Cognitive load theory? Okay, it gets involved, okay? I'm just gonna give you an overview, but I'm gonna demonstrate something to you, okay? So at the novice level, okay, you do step-by-step processing, okay? At the intermediate level, okay, pattern recognition development, okay? So you recognize patterns. So when you see a pattern here and then a pattern here, you go, you link the two, right? We talk about that all the time in subconscious training, okay? But here's the expert level. You want the expert level? Automated processes, okay? Intuitive understanding. Intuitive understanding. What are we talking about there? We're talking about moving over from the left to the right hemisphere of the brain. Why? So you can tap in to intuitive understanding. So you can tap, and this is what happens in meditation, okay? That's our second pillar. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. So meditation. What is meditation? Stillness. You were born with infinite knowledge. Okay, don't confuse education with knowledge. Okay, education is saying, okay, we're going to take all of this and we're going to crunch it into this and we're going to give you this and then you'll be qualified for this. Okay, because your field is this. Your field is not this. You're not going to specialize in all of these things. You're going to specialize in this one here. So we're going to crunch everything into a program for this. This is what you study. This is what your degree is for. And this is what you go out in the world to do. If that's what you want to do, then yes. And most things are specialized. So if you want to practice law, if you want to practice medicine, notice that there are practices, okay? But if you want to practice these things, then of course there is a way. There is a organizational formula. There is a procedure. There are processes. But let's say you want to live outside the box. Let's say that you want to remove yourself from the box. Because you know what happens? What happens a lot is that people that live in the box for so long, they get to the point in life where they want to remove themselves from the box. Okay, or at least be able to see from outside the box into the box. Okay? Because this, right, this keeps you in the box. Because this is a specialty. Okay? You're a specialist at this. Okay? But then out here, there's so much more. Okay? So this is why I said this to an intellectual friend of mine last week. And I said, the mind only works optimally when it's open, much like a parachute. And he wrote it down. He goes, wait, let me write that down. And he wrote it down. And he's older than me. He's much wiser than me, much more, educated than me. Okay. But anyway, so your mind has to be like a parachute. It only works really good when it's open. Why? Because when it's closed, this is all you get. Okay? This is all you get. And there's not much time, truthfully. There's not much time if you are focused on a career that requires this. There's not much time to go out here and accumulate this and this and this because you're focused here. And the better you are at this, okay, the more tunnel vision you have for this, the more money you make, the higher you go in life in this, okay? And all of that. Okay? And I have a lot of clients like that, okay? Because these are the people that hire me, these people, okay? Because it's very important that in a short period of time, they can take what's out here, okay, and assimilate that and crunch it into here so that it fits with this, okay? How do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Now, yesterday we were talking about the scientific position, okay? The scientific positions for these things, because it depends on how you communicate these things. And depending on how you communicate these things, you go from woo-woo to science, right? So we were talking about these things, okay? And today's Sunday, and I wanted to mention some religious things, but let's just go over one of these things. Let's look at meditation and vocalization, okay? So the neuroscience of mindful sound meditation science, okay? So we can say, we can say meditation connects you to universal consciousness, okay? That's not scientific. Consciousness is not scientific. But I will tell you that if you follow meditation and just being still, closing your distractors like this, okay, and just sitting still in silence, you will feel the expansiveness of this, okay? And I have this here. Since it's Sunday, I might as well bring this up, okay? So you cannot experience the fullness of this one until you meditate, until you're still. Until you are still. And it's all in here, okay? We're going to get to that in a minute. But until you are still, you cannot feel it, okay? You can read about it. You could talk about it. You could talk, okay? Praying is speaking to God. Meditating is listening to God. Why? Because God lives in here, okay? Jesus Christ told you that the kingdom is in here. But with the scientific aspect of this, okay? So scientific foundational learning consistent with meditation, okay? Neuroplasticity. 8 weeks of mindfulness training increases gray matter in the hippocampus. Those are facts. Meditation. So it accomplishes that. But if we just tell you to meditate and you'll feel the benefits and you'll feel like a new person, why do we do it that way? Because most people don't understand what the hippocampus is. Most people don't understand all the little nitty-gritties. And when you start talking like that and they don't understand it, guess what happens? They tune out. In their head, they're like, oh, do I have to bring hot dogs to the beach on Saturday for the picnic? You see? Okay. We could say that the attention networks, okay, it gets strengthened within the brain. when you meditate, when you sit still, okay, that it benefits your prefrontal cortex that thinks 80,000 thoughts a day. We could say that and be scientific. Okay, we could say that, meditation reduces activity in the brain's autopilot, okay, autopilot mode, subconscious, okay, decreasing mind wandering and rumination. In other words, floating off into this, that, and the other thing. Because it brings you in to focus. It brings you into awareness. Because you in here are awareness. Okay, so enough of the scientifics. So this is why we explain it that way. Now, the reason why I bring in all of these facts is because I don't want you to think this is magic. I don't want you to think this is witchcraft or voodoo or some, Aladdin's lamp that you rub the genie and you manifest whatever, this, that, and the other thing. No, not at all. This is mindset. Whatever you consider is in here. Okay, if you think that this is energy, if you think this is a spirit, if you think this is a soul, okay, there's a separation between body and spirit. Jesus was trying to tell you this. But funny, whenever somebody comes out and tells you these things, right? Nobody pays attention to me, so I can tell you. And I sit here for free an hour every day. But if I had a large audience, and we saw what happened recently, okay, when people start to wake up the masses in large numbers, what happens? That was Jesus, okay? But his message was that religion should transform the heart. What does that mean? Transform the heart. It's another way of saying subconscious. Right? God knows your heart, right? Your subconscious. What you have put in your subconscious as beliefs is your heart. It's not the one that pumps the blood. Okay? It's your subconscious. So you have to transform your beliefs, not just your external behavior. You could be nice to anybody and be an evil person. And I'm not here to say be a nice person or be a good person or whatever, okay? This is not a judgment thing. I'm just explaining to you what it is, what this is, what your gift is, okay? Look into the mirror in the bathroom, turn on the light, and witness your miracle. It's standing right in front of you. You see it every day. Don't take this for granted. This is a blessing. This is a gift. Not everybody gets to exist. Go look at the stats. Look at the number of people that actually make it into the world. There's 8 billion of us. No two are the same. That's a blessing. We are all individuals. But we all have choices. Okay? So you can belong to the dark side or the light side, good or bad, however, yin and yang. Okay, I discuss this almost every day. Okay, but since it's Sunday, we'll focus on a little bit of this. Love of God and neighbor are inseparable and foundational in Christianity, in the teachings of Jesus. But it's the same in the teachings of Krishna. It's the same in the teachings of Gautama Buddha. Authentic faith, right? Belief, subconscious, okay? Shows itself through compassion and service. That's Buddhism. That's Christianity, right? So these things are not just exclusive to Christianity. Okay, we're just talking about religious facts. Religious authority must be exercised with humility and service. These are the things that Jesus taught. Justice, mercy, and faithfulness are core to true religious dogma. Okay, these are the teachings of Jesus. Forgiveness and reconciliation are central values. Reconciliation with what? Reconciliation in here. You're not obligated to reconcile with anything out here. but you are in here. Why? Because you cannot live in a house divided. This house, okay, this house, the kingdom is within. Jesus lives in here. God lives in here. Gautama Buddha lives in here in spirit. Krishna lives in here in spirit. They all live in here in spirit. You have eyes, and your eyes look away from the kingdom. Your eyes are distracted out here. You know, out here there's a label, right? Oh, this one might be nightclub. This one might be church. This one might be shopping center, mall, fun, shopping, right? But it's important to see the labels as they are. See things for what they are. Because these look, but they do not see. In order to see, you have to see in here. You have to go in here. Close the distractors. Now you can see. Now you can feel. Now you can experience. And that is meditation. Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. In meditation, you can visualize. In meditation, things will be shown to you. But this is all the right hemisphere of the brain. Intuitive learning, intuition, intuitive thought. The conscious, subconscious, and superconscious are involved, but they're all in here. They're states of awareness in here. Okay, and we talk about the functions every day. But the subconscious is your heart that God knows. God, whatever you believe in the superconscious, okay, whatever belief system, insert belief system here. But that's reflective of what's in the subconscious. So according to what's in the subconscious, it will be reflected to you from the superconscious. There's many ways that it has been said over time. The superconscious will act upon, amplify, and enable what's in your subconscious. Now, if you talk to somebody who doesn't believe in God, they'll go, well, superconscious, blah, right? But if you believe in God, then there's a superconscious. Okay, good morning, guys. Good morning. Good morning, Starseed. Good morning, Rhonda. If you call it consciousness, if you call it source, if you call it universe, if you call it God, these are all labels. These are not God-made labels. These are man-made labels. But these are the labels that we use. If you look at a computer, you have an operating system. In the human being, it's the conscious mind. The hard drive where the programs are stored, where the systems are located. That's the subconscious. The superconscious is the network that we're all plugged into. And we are all one through awareness. But we all have free will. We can choose. You want to do this? You want to do that? You want to be like this? You want to be like that? We have the freedom to choose. We can choose. Sometimes we go over here. You know, this doesn't serve us. We move over here. This doesn't serve us. We go back again. Okay. I had this client who was involved in things that most people would say were dark. And it got pretty dark over here. And what happened when it got too dark? She started seeking the light. And then it lightened up. But what does the subconscious do when you haven't adequately programmed it well enough? Or let's say it another way, without sufficient repetition, the old program pulls you back. Why? Because you haven't established the new one well enough. That's all. Is there good and evil? Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you have to have one to have the other. There has to be darkness to provide light. Otherwise, there's nothing to differentiate either one. So when you start labeling things, you start saying, I am that. You start saying, this is that. You pronounce, this is that. And that becomes your understanding. That becomes your belief. That becomes the subject matter in your subconscious. And now the superconscious will accommodate that and say, okay, this is how you believe. Okay, this is what we're doing. Okay. And now this will be addressed by the superconscious, and the subconscious will look for confirmation of it. You want to change it? Easy. Is it hard to develop good habits? No, it's not. I recently changed my whole routine in the morning because routines are good to change, okay? When you have a routine, first of all, routines are very good. Second of all, change your routine. Don't stay with the same routine all the time. It's like going to the gym and, working out the same way all the time. Your muscles get used to it. After a while, it takes it for granted. Everything is intelligent. Your muscles are intelligent. Muscle memory. They remember. Everything is intelligent in the universe. The blades of grass are intelligent. Everything. Plants, they know when they're going to become extinct. They become poisonous. Okay? They protect themselves. They communicate. Trees communicate. So, the spiritual teachings that you read and the spiritual teachings that these teachings are emphasizing the spirit rather than just you should do this or you should do that. Because there's a separation between the body and the spirit. And the spirit transcends the body. The spirit, let's say it another way, the will that you have governs the body. You will it to do this. You will it to do that. But sometimes through, experience, we go, oh, that didn't work. You try it again, oh, that didn't work. Try it again, that didn't work. Wow, thank you, Adena. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Nice to see you, brother. Thank you for that. Then you become discouraged because these things didn't work. Sometimes it's the timing. It's not your fault sometimes. Sometimes it's the timing. Oh, it's the wrong time to do this, wrong time to do that. So if you subscribe to God in the superconscious, right? Sometimes the doors don't open for a reason because the superconscious is responsible for opening the doors as you take the steps. If the door isn't opening and you try again and the door doesn't open and you try again and the door doesn't open, if you subscribe to this belief, then you have to know that the door did not open for a reason. There were doors that I tried to get through in my life over and over and over, and it didn't open. And then I found out later, like through experience, right? I found out later, I'm like, oh, it didn't open for a reason. See, And sometimes that's protection. But you need to recognize this. When you recognize this, you'll go, okay, Sorry, we're getting a little glare in here. The sun has changed positions. So, it's important to be aware, spiritually aware in here. Okay, not just the body. People get distracted into the body. Oh, my joints are sore today, or oh, I have a headache today. Oh, I have a whatever. I ate something, I don't feel good today. Oh, like that, right? Your body is anchored into the physical world, but there's a separation between the spirit and the body. Okay? You can will things from in here. You can attract things from in here. You can perform things from in here. There's two types of actions, right? So you hear people all the time say, you have to take action on things. You have to take action, take action. An educated person will give you an educated response. Well, you have to take action. You have to do this procedure. You have to do this way, and like that. I can't even tell you how many people in my life said, "Well, you can't do this way. It doesn't work this way." And I'm like, well, I don't know how it works. The how is God's job. And they look at me really funny because they've gone to college and the college told them, well, this is the way you do this. But there's an unlimited way of doing everything. It's unlimited. Quantum physics shows us that. Okay? But colleges have curriculums. They have courses of study. And they know what course works, and they teach that course. They teach that course of study, that pathway. So you walk that path according to what you have learned. But as I explained earlier about a mind being open, if your mind is open, then there's a myriad of ways of achieving anything. You're not limited. You are not a limited being. Most of us have been led to believe that we are less than. When we are convinced that we are less than, self-esteem goes down, self-confidence goes down. I've been teaching confidence my whole life. Okay, self-worth goes down, and then productivity goes down as a result. Okay. Everything goes down. Your energy goes down. Why? Because it takes a lot of energy to deal with all these things. Okay? Because all of these things are piled on top of you. It's heavy, and this is why it says in the Bible, right? Jesus said, give me your burdens. I'll give you rest. Give it to me. What does that mean? Esoterically, what does that mean? That means you need to get rid of these worldly things, these physical things, these things that have been piled onto you by the world, by life experience. How do you do that? Affirmations, meditation, vocalization, visualization. Okay? It sounds easy. It's a process. Okay, but it's a lifestyle. Here, like this. So it's a lifestyle. Okay, this is a lifestyle. These are affirmations. Okay, this is not journaling. Okay, journaling is a different thing, and I don't recommend it for everybody. Okay, journaling is different. Your subconscious is your book of life. It has all the records of everything you've ever done, everything you've ever said. It's a culmination of all of your senses. Your subconscious performs 90% of your life. Okay, so when you see somebody and you get to know them and you go, oh, he's like that. I know Bob for 10 years. He's just like that. That's him. That's who he is, right? That's what he does. Because he's running on autopilot. He doesn't know, okay? But now you know how he is, and you go, okay, don't be offended by Bob. That's just him. But we love our friends. We love them. We have friends that, for lack of a better term, are not normal. Right? Try to answer this one. Try to answer, okay, what's normal? I don't know. I do not know. But when you experience something, someone, okay, and you repeat that experience, it goes into your subconscious. So yesterday I had a client that with a very specific and very unique situation. It involves 3 people. And between the 3, there are 3 separate subconsciouses at work. And there are 3 specific patterns. And all 3 react to each one the same way all the time. and not one of them has broken the pattern yet. Well, here's the secret. When one of them breaks the pattern, all three have to break the pattern. So what I'm saying is, when you change a pattern in here, it automatically changes the pattern in the other person. You cannot change the other person by changing the other person or by anything out here in the physical world. But internally you can. And sometimes it's just a small little adjustment, and you just adjust a little bit. Then what? Then the reaction is different. Then what? Well, then you can proceed in that direction, then you know it's working, and then things get better. Good morning, Billy. Describe 100%. It's a lifestyle. Yes, it's a lifestyle, Billy. It's a lifestyle. Good morning. Nice to see you. We have a chat on this side over here, on a different platform. So in the old days, they used to call it tapes because they had cassette tapes. You know, you have one tape for your mom, one tape for your dad, one tape for your best friend, one tape for your friends, one tape. You know, humans are very complex beings. We have different paradigms. We don't have just one paradigm. But we have a way to react with everybody, and then it's stored in our subconscious. And this is why when you go to the high school reunion, you haven't seen everybody for 10 years. You go back to the reunion, it's like you pick up exactly where you left off, right? Because everything is in your subconscious. And the people that you loved before, you still love. It's in your subconscious. And you pick up like the next, without skipping a beat, you pick it up. You pick it up. This is why they say, you know, it's like riding a bike. You never forget how. You just get back on the bike, get back on the bike, get back on the bike. So if you have come to a point in your life, because we all do, okay, me too, okay, hashtag me too, okay. When you come to the point in your life where, you know, you go into the valley, right? Peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys, peaks and valleys. And you go into the valley sometimes. Nothing is happening. It's boring. You know, maybe you feel down. Maybe you feel like, wow, I wonder if I could ever do that again. I wonder if I could ever be, you know, happy again. I wonder if I could ever be cheerful again. I wonder if I could ever be athletic again or whatever again, or, you know. Just know that all you have to do is recall. Just recall. Ask your subconscious. Okay, so conscious, subconscious, superconscious. Seek the superconscious. You seek in here. Okay, you listen in here. Your ears are for something else. You know, where they say you will listen and not hear. Okay, your ears are for listening, so you can hear the cars coming by so you don't get hit. But when you hear, you have to hear within. When you see, you have to see within. You can look for directions. You can look at the signs. You can look at the stores. You can look at the merchandise. You can look at the people passing by on the sidewalk. But you see only in here. And that's the illusion. Gautama Buddha said, he said it best. Gautama Buddha said, the man who sees life as an illusion, the illusion, escapes suffering. Why? Because he knows that the truth is in here, not out here. These are the labels. These are the brands. This is the advertising. This is the hype. These are the things that have been put before you, for you. Things that have been built for you. There's no out there. Everything out here is either nature or it came from someone else's in here. And if they can, you can. Build something. You can build for you can build for your family, you can build for society. It's your choice. How big do you want to go? Some people just build for themselves. Some people build for their families, for their children. Some people build for the world. But the building is an illusion. The program is an illusion. The suffering happens when you apply yourself to the illusion. When you get distracted into the illusion. And now, oh, I'm a part of that. I belong to that. I belong to that group. I belong to that association. I belong to that. You know, they give you a badge or a medal or whatever. You wear it and feel good about it, right? But you belong to that. Now you are obligated to that. Whatever that is. That could be a marriage license. Okay, now you're obligated to a person. It could be a certificate of ownership for a car. Okay, now you're obligated to the government. You have to pay the registration. I'm not saying it's wrong. There's no judgment. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying what it is so you start to understand that this one in here, you're not your body, you're not your name. You're that energy that lives in here, and this is independent of everything. Everything. And it solves all problems. It's the intuitive learning. And all you need to do is ask inside. That's it. All you need to do is ask. Ask, believe, receive. That's it. That's the formula. Magic formula, right? Ask, believe, receive. When you ask in here. It doesn't mean to ask somebody for something. It doesn't mean to request a handout, money, material things, food, whatever. You can. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, there's no judgment. But when you ask in here, it automatically shows up. It shows up because goodness, okay, all goodness comes from the superconscious, whatever your belief system is, through others. And when you communicate well enough with the subconscious, when you get in touch, okay, in touch with yourself in here, everything comes. Because God knows your heart. The superconscious, God, Krishna, Jesus Christ, however you believe, the superconscious knows your heart, your subconscious. Those are your beliefs, what you believe the world to be, what you believe yourself to be, what you believe others to be, what you believe your family to be, what you believe knowledge is. People have different ideas. Some people say knowledge is power. Some people say the application of knowledge is power. Knowledge does nothing for you sitting in here. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. There's an old expression that musicians have. It says, don't die with the music in you. Get the music out. Get the ideas out. Write the songs. Don't die with the music in you. Don't die with the love in you. Show the love. Give the love. Bless people with love. Bless others with love. When you see someone with a narrow mind, do your best to expand their mind. Open their mind. It's the best thing you can do for them. There's nothing worse than a narrow mind. Oh my God. If this is your vision, if this is what you know, if this is what you practice, if this is what you specialize in, if this is how you live, understand that you have been given something so much more. Live like this. Take this. Expand it like this. Live like this. There's two ways to wealth. The first way is you deny yourself, deny yourself, deny yourself, deny. Store up all your treasures, like a crab, dig it all in the hole, store it all up. Now you have a bunch of treasures. Maybe you have millions in the bank. Maybe you have. And then it's time to go. And you've stored up these massive treasures. Never use them. Why? Well, because you're living in lack. Because you're living in lack. You're living in a lack mindset, which tells you that there's no abundance here. Life is all about what I can get. What I can get. Not about what I can give. Okay, you see the directions? This is get. Okay, this is get. This is give. Your life doesn't happen to you like this. Your life happens to you like this. It unfolds for you. Likewise, you should live this way. Live like this. Give, give, give. Because if you only see what you can get, if you live like a crab, then that little hole will be your existence. It's a metaphor. If that little hole is your existence, you have wasted everything out here. And this is your limitation. And this will have been your life. And this is a very meager existence. Because very, very, very wealthy people, some of them, have had very meager existences in here. Everything is limited. Some things look abundant, but there's limitation. Foxy Model, you're a music arranger. I spent years in the music industry. Let me see. I'm sorry, I'm having trouble because there's another screen here. I'm having trouble seeing what you're. Let me just excuse me, you guys. Let me just dug over here. Okay. Where are you? Okay, oops. All right, I lost your comment. Jay, can you please pin the when you live and give your real self? That's exactly what I'm talking about, Foxy. Thank you. Thank you for confirming my teaching. Hi, Cooper. Good morning. Nice to see you. Yep. So what Foxy's really saying is what I always tell you, that, authenticity is the highest vibration. Okay? Authenticity is love. Why? Because you were born into love. That's the energy you come from. Then life happens. Okay? Then life makes us go like this. Okay? And then when you go like this, yeah, it gets a little irritating here and there, and then you develop this, that, and whatever, and yeah. And then at some point you need to, you can be rich on the outside and very poor on the inside. I know a lot of rich people that are very poor on the inside. And I know a lot of rich people that are very rich on the inside. And I know a lot of poor people that are very rich on the inside because they have love. I was having this conversation with my former fiance, this girl I was engaged to, and she was just in town. She just texted me goodbye yesterday. And we've been lifelong friends. Well, friendly. Men and women cannot be true friends. Not like a man and woman and woman can be friends. And we were discussing, we always discuss the fact that when we had nothing, she has a family, she has children, she has. And I have my things. And we were just discussing how when we had nothing but a bus pass and a couple of jobs, we were so happy. you know? So responsibility takes up these things, okay? Responsibility takes these things. Responsibility will take some time from you, okay? The more things that you attach yourself to on the outside, and this is what Gautama Buddha was talking about, the more things that you attach yourself to, right? The more you take away from in here. The more time it takes, the more energy it takes, the more responsibility it requires. And sometimes you need a challenge. So you do these things. It's not wrong. There's no judgment attached to this. It's not wrong or whatever. But what is important is the awareness, okay? What's important is the awareness of it so that you can manage it easily. Because if you don't have the awareness of it, if you just get busy for the sake of being busy, and pretty soon you don't know why you're busy, you're not accomplishing anything, but you're busy, you're running here and there, you're doing this and that, and you're not really accomplishing anything. And when I say accomplish things, I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about quality time, the things that matter, quality time, time to love. I'm not talking about romance, I'm talking about love. I'm not talking about Valentine's Day, I'm talking about love. Love can be sitting in your garden and nurturing the vegetables. Love can be sitting on your patio playing your guitar. You're producing love energy. Love can be volunteering at the orphanage, helping poor people, whatever that is. You know, here in Hawaii, we have beach cleanup day and people all go down to the beach. That's love. That's love. They're giving love for their community. They're giving love for the land. Love for the land is a big thing in Hawaii. Solitude seems to be necessary for enlightenment. Well, solitude is your meditation. Meditation is important for life, period. But people get distracted out here, Foxy. They get distracted into all of this. And that's what I talked about earlier. Okay? The illusion. You get sucked into the illusion, which takes you away from this one. That's why meditation is important. Everything out here, okay? Everything out here has been placed there before you, for you. From someone else is in here. The rest is nature. So the time that you take to love can be applied to the land. It can be applied to cleaning a beach or cleaning a park or you know, right? That kind of love. Love for your body in the gym, going running, going hiking, exercising, taking that time for yourself, that self-love time, that self-love. Love for your partner, taking your partner to lunch, to dinner, to movies, whatever, date night, that kind of thing. And then there's the work time. Now, if you're lucky, if you're really lucky, or let's say it another way, if you have deliberately used one of these to plan your existence, to design your life, which is what I teach, the pen is mightier than the sword for a reason, because the pen will change this one. And if you design your life, that's what this is. This right here. This is designing your life. I have about 12 of these in storage. This is the last one. I'm working on a new one now. So this is the new one. See, this is the new one. See? So this is designing your life. These are affirmations. It's not journaling. You're not writing about the past. When you journal, you're writing about the past. When you write about the past, so be careful how you journal. If you're writing about the past, you're bringing yesterday into today. And then you take today into tomorrow. Then you take tomorrow into the next day. And you live the same life over and over and over and over and over. And what happens? One day you run out of life. And this is what Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about. When you carry the same problems, the same issues, the same memories, day after day after day after day, without changing anything, the same problems, the same concerns, the same disappointments, the same failures, or what you perceive to be failures. Perception is a big thing. Okay, failure is necessary for success. If you're not failing, you're doing something wrong. Okay, I fail at least once a week. If I'm not failing once a week, something's wrong, and I take a look at it. I'm not trying hard enough, or I'm not going out of the box enough. Because to stay in the box is, like I said in the beginning, like this. Okay, if you live like this, you specialize in this, you get a degree for this, you do this for, I don't know, till retirement, then you go on a couple of cruises, and then your life is done. What have you done? What have you accomplished? This. Life is bigger than that. The superconscious is bigger than that. There are infinite numbers of roads to the same thing. Infinite numbers. There's not one way to achieve this, or this, or this, or this, or this. There's a myriad of ways for each. The how is God's job. Your job is just to decide what you want to do and why. Why do you want to do this? You have to have a reason. What's your why? Well, I want to do this because I want to leave my kids a bunch of money. I want to do this because it makes me happy. So if you're really happy and you design your life, then when you go to work, you look forward to it. I look forward to my work every day. I can't wait to get started. I have so much energy when I get up. I just have to go running, I have to go work out, I have to do all these things, and then I come and I work all day long. If I didn't like what I did, ooh, right? There's so many people that are doing things that they have to do because they didn't plan. How do you plan? Affirmations, meditation, focalization, visualization. And you apply these things. When you apply these things, you start to see different results. I know a lot of people that spent 30 years in a profession and then went, it's not doing it, right? They spent 20 years in a marriage and then they go, it's not doing it. Because at a certain age, you start to realize, hey, I'm not going to be around forever. You know, I have this one shot at this, right? You only live this way one time. That's it. And then maybe you live another way. So while you're here, be happy. While you're here, look forward to what you do. While you're here, love people. Love whatever you love. Things you love, people you love. Love your things, whatever things you love. Love people. But don't get it twisted. Don't use people and love things. Love people and use things. But focus on what you love and the people you love. Because what's the common denominator here? Love. Things you love, people you love. When you look at something, instead of saying, I like that, say, I love that. Oh, I love that. You know, if you like it, say you love it. It will start to bring it into your world. Oh, I love that car. I love that whatever. Scooter. I love that bicycle. I love that whatever it is, that bag, right? Oh, thank you, Billy. Billy said, thanks to you, I've started the habit of designing my life following your practices. Okay, sorry, I had to duck out. I had to read the comment. Sorry, we're gonna elevate that thing. You've perfected channeling spirit to a degree in your work and life. Yeah, so the spirit, yeah, so that's the superconscious, Foxy. Yep, it works for me every day. Okay, and you have a choice of what spirit you want to channel. Okay, like I said, it's what's in your subconscious as your belief, however you believe. I'm not here to tell you what to believe or how to believe, but you're right. Oh, thank you, Billy. Thank you, Billy. Pull the positive energies. Yep, that's what I say every day. Foxy, you're new. You should watch me for a few days. You're saying everything that I've been saying all this time. But yeah, welcome. Nice to see you. What do you do, Foxy? You're a musician? Are you how are you involved in music? Tell me. But manifestation happens whether you think so or not, whether you believe in it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, whether you acknowledge it or not. It's your outcomes based upon your actions and your decisions. So let's take a look at the subconscious tree. The roots of the tree are your subconscious beliefs, your core beliefs, your paradigm, the trunk of the tree. Okay, your paradigm is constructed, your worldview is constructed from your beliefs in the subconscious. They give birth to the fruits or your actions on the top of the tree. You shall know them by their fruits, right? By their actions, by what they do, not what they say. Anybody can say anything. Watch what they do. And the fruits turn into results. So if you want different results, where on the tree do you work? Yeah, you work on the roots. Because then it's automatic. Your subconscious is your autopilot, and you will get consistent results. Consistent results. Ah, you're a teacher. You're a piano teacher, an arranger. Wow, cool. Nice. That is awesome. I always wanted to play the piano. Never patient enough to sit down and figure out those 88 keys. And Jay is saying, see you tomorrow. So it's that time again. Anyway, so I hope I've, you know, brought up some valuable things for you today. Things to think about. Okay, food for thought. Happy Sunday. And yeah, so remember, it's Sunday, right? And today, oops, I gotta put this thing over there. Hang on. There we go. Okay, so it's Sunday. Okay, today, uh, tons of human beings, are standing at pulpits, okay, pretending to know the will of all creation. Okay, so be careful, and when you are receiving information, use your discernment and proceed accordingly. I'm Junior. Aloha from Hawaii. We'd like to say goodbye to our stream, and we'd like to send you guys love and aloha.